Hello everyone and welcome to the episode. We are in Gorey, Georgia. I know, I'm jumping between countries from episode to episode. This is one of our vans for the trip. I'm on a photo tour, hidden photo tour with Greg. I'll introduce you to him a little later. A couple of days in Tbilisi, a couple of days up in the Kazbeki mountain region, and now we're photographing architecture here in the lowlands in the middle of the country. We're also going to be talking on this episode about photography, locations and etiquette. Let's dive in, shall we?
For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is James Kerwin, and this is me. I'm an architecture and interior photographer from the UK that is now based in Istanbul. I love shooting heritage, abandoned places, relics, ruins, hidden gems and ghost towns, as well as off the beaten path locations all around the world. You can catch my content weekly, well, when life doesn't take over. So why don't you join me for the ride by subscribing, and you can also check out my website in the description below.
So also on this episode, I'm going to show you a little behind the scenes on everything we're doing in the tour. There's actually two vans. We've got this bad boy here and we've got another silver one out back. And I'm actually switching a little bit later because we want to mix things up a little bit. And it's been a great trip so far. We're now starting the architecture segment of the tour, and that's where I kick in, of course. So we're going to a mansion that's been disused for a while, but they're trying to renovate it. And I'm going to talk you through, show you a bit of the behind the scenes, and it's going to be great. Let's crack on. Okay, so we're in the location. It's absolutely beautiful. There's probably 4 or 5 shots. So my aim at this point is to get all of the guests into a position where they can start to photograph quite quickly. There's some amazing frescoes in here. Beautiful old building being protected. It's great to see.
First floor was built in 18th century. Then they built second floor with this mosaic in 1861.
Perfect.
Yeah, this age was like done. This building built.
Amazing. And it's currently in the family, or it's an heirloom, or has it been passed through the generations? How did she come about being the owner?
Before the revolution in Soviet time, this building was owners of this building was 3 sisters. One of the was her husband's
Grandmother.
Yep.
Okay.
And 2 of them, they ran in emigration in Europe.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was like bad time.
Okay. And finally, future plans for the building? What's she trying to do?
First of all, they want to keep everything, but they don't have enough money for renovate it, and they hope some kind human will try to do that.
Donate, fundraising.
Yes.
So a very typical story of most of these buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to choose this room, which is kind of a really cool shot that I got a little while ago. I've got Graham here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do each person is going to do a little demonstration on the tilt shift and try and get them the key shot in this location. It's nice and easy. We've evenly lit it with this curtain, kind of combined in the middle, and the idea then is to be able to get the shots as quickly as possible through the people, but also making sure they get good quality. So we're going to do it. We're in aperture priority mode, which is fine. Okay. We want our f-stop to be, like I say, f8 would be absolutely perfect, fine. I mean, you could even go 6.3 in here and it wouldn't be a problem. ISO, I think 200 would be absolutely fine because it'll just keep your exposure time down. And in aperture priority, I would say probably better even in manual. Because if you go in manual, you'll be able to see what the exposure time is doing on the back of the live view. So now we can bring it up, the exposure time. It's the other one, this one. This one. Yeah, other way, yeah. So we're currently sitting at a decent exposure. If you just tap the shutter button, you'll get an idea. So the middle exposure. So 0.3 a second, 7.1 ISO 200. Because we've got the highlight priority on, focus peaking, you can see everything is sharp, everything is looking good. My only concern here is that obviously the door is off to one side on the frame. If you look at your lines here, you can see that the door is not actually in the centre of the frame. Your tripod needs to actually come over just a smidgen and then just swing your camera tight. That's it. Nice. Yeah, sweet. Yep. So that's it. We're kind of, the thing is, and one of the lessons there is, at F8, F7.1, F8, F9, you will find that most things will be in focus if the lens is there or thereabouts, because it's all about distance. Yeah, so it's in focus. Obviously we can check that by zooming in using the magnifying glass on the back of camera, and we'll do that, and when we do it, you can see then there is a difference, so yeah. So focus peaking will say it's in focus, but we want
you can see something.
We want technically sharp.
Red now.
Yeah. What technically sharp and sharp are two completely different things. This one here used to be Chinese themed, which is fascinating as well. Of course, in the Soviet times, a lot of this stuff got wrecked or ruined, especially during periods of conflict, and that was no different in this place here. So the Persian room is the highlight. I've got some images I want to show you, previous images that I've taken before, and I'm going to do a couple of new ones. Pop them on the screen now. This place, there's plenty of photographs to be had. But so far on the internet, all I keep seeing is the same one room in the same composition as I posted back in April, which is kind of random. And now I suppose that's the problem here. What you want to be doing when you come into a location like this is take your time, think, and try and get creative. When I came in here the first time, I actually rushed the images quite a bit. I only got limited time. She gave me 25 minutes to photograph, so I just did one in each room as quickly as possible. Repetitive compositions in this kind of, let's call it industry that we're working in here, this domain, this space of architecture photography, is kind of weird. I've fallen foul of it before. Of course, there's limited shots in some spaces, but with a new location crops up for the first time, there's no reason for you to be doing the same shot as the previous people. There's lots of nice shots in here. I'd go as far as to say that there's at least 5 decent shots in this building, including upwards in that Persian room. I'd say the guys have spread out, they've walked around, they've photographed quite well, and they're picking out some really interesting shots, and that is what it's about, getting creative and thinking outside of the box. You don't have to come into a location and do the same compositions as other people have done previously. Anyway, I'm going to help out the guys. I'm going to introduce you to Greg as well, because of course this is a hidden photo tour, and we're definitely doing hidden photos today. Greg has finally joined us. Of course, I told you earlier we have 2 vehicles. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Greg is a co-leader on the tour, hidden photo tours of course. Greg, if you could introduce yourself a little bit better than me.
Sure, I'm a Canadian landscape travel wildlife photographer and slowly getting into abandoned architecture. I wouldn't go as far as urbex, but this is the kind of style of finding hidden and unique locations and mixing that with landscape and travel that I think we're creating a really great mix of. So it's yeah, it's something new and exciting, and I'm excited to try and get that room actually.
The one we were just sort of doing the demo in, that you saw earlier in the video, Greg's now moving into that room. Yeah, I think that's cool, but yeah, cheers for doing a little bit to the camera. I'll try and do well. I'll chuck some of his photos as well on the screen so you've got them. It's different, of course, to my audience, and hopefully you enjoy it. I think so. It's got some bangers in Hamburg, by the way, this guy. I've got an idea that I want to get a shot of this, right? But just mainly the back wall, and the composition would be square, okay? That's in my head. Obviously the ceiling's the highlight, but that door is pretty cool, right? The window's not so great on the left. So, tilt shift is on. I'm using his camera because it's the same as mine, R5. I know the controls, but they're fairly similar throughout. You just got to work out where your part is. Composition he's already done for me because we worked through. Key indicators here are using the lines of the building with the, I always use the same grid we've got on here, which is just the, the thirds. We can use the indicators. And then basically, we use the edge of the frame as well with door frames to make sure the camera's sensor is level with the back wall, and you can check that by just looking through. Once we've done that, we can use the magnifying glass to zoom on in, and we can also use focus peaking to help us. But as we just found out, focus peaking is not always good. No. Double check, because it says here, bright red, all good. But actually, once we start looking through the image, you can fine tune it. Sharp, technically sharp. That's sort of a big difference. And one thing with these lenses that to nail it, you want to double check. They pick everything out. So here, our exposure is kind of fine, but I want to probably be on the money. 7.1 is, again, fine, but I might just increase this to 1/10, and we're dead on the money. ISO 200, we could be 100, but I'm trying to speed us up a little bit. I'm going to shoot this. 2-second timer's on, no movement in between times. Then here comes the magic. So what we do is we unlock the lens here on the right-hand side. We unlock it, and we can shift the lens. Before we shoot the next layers, we're just going to check our frame. So first of all, we've got the bottom, and secondly, we've got the top. When we lift to the top, obviously this is where our composition comes alive a little bit. I want more, it's not enough. So we're actually going to lift, and I'm going to pull my camera as much as possible to get as much elevation on it as I can. When I've done that, obviously my middle frame is now going to be a little bit off. You can see there's a bit of warping on the right hand side. 17mm does that a little bit. Your still perspective will be a tiny bit off on occasions when it's right on the edge. But remember our composition. Remember our final shot. It's a square shot. It's going to be in a bit, all right? So it's okay. Shoot this image, redo it because we've changed our composition after running through. We're going to go back up to the top. Now we do not change our exposure. The camera's reading it as it's darker. It looks dark up there. But because we've bent the lens now, technically, it's a huge bend in it, the light is falling away. Okay, so we can just go back a little bit from the high point on this lens because it does tend at the very top, a little bit of quality loss, just a tiny fraction. So I'm just going to roll back a little. Now here's the key bit. When we focus here, we're going to go up high. We're going to go up to the top bit and refocus. And there is a massive difference there. Yeah. Huge difference because the focus distance is way shorter than the back wall. It's not much, but it's enough to make a huge difference. So I'm going to just shoot that again. This is our shot. I'd say maybe a little bit dark, so this is where we might bracket, but I'm not going to do that because I want to speed this up. And then finally, we do the bottom. And here, we refocus down the bottom, but bearing in mind our composition again, our square, don't need to be down there. I'm going to be over there. Redo it, just double check and shift and shoot that. So now, I've got the resolution of 17mm width. I've got the height of around about 11mm. When I crop this, there's no resolution loss, and I've now got the composition I want, which is going to basically be a square version of this with a tiny little bit of window, but that amazing ceiling. Look at the ceiling.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I mean, look at that. The details this.
Yeah. So, finished. I think they're going to try and make this an event space in the future. Would make quite a cool one. I mean, check out the piano in the corner. You can imagine a little musician playing, Georgian food being presented to the table, chandeliers above. Could be quite the event space. I think that's everything for today. We're kind of there. Been a great vlog so far. We're going to be moving on now as a group, a tour group. Introduced you to Greg. I gave you some tips on architecture shooting. And of course, we've given you my photography. So this has been quite a bumper episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, bye for now. I'll see you next Sunday. Until then, leave us a comment if you got it below. And I'll come back to you as soon as I can. If you want to check out any of the hidden photo tours we've got coming up in the future, you can do so on the link in the description below. And of course, my stuff as well, my future tours are coming up, and I'm about to release 2025's first 6 months as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. Until next time, yeah, from here in Georgia, bye-bye for now. Have a good weekend, guys.